A series that came subsequently after the Fluids was this one, the Clan series. And in this case, he actually got to know, sort of infiltrated the Ku Klux Klan and got sufficient confidence from them that the Grand Wizards, or whatever they're called, allowed him to take their portraits, of course, wearing the hoods. The way that he's photographed it unmistakably looks like, you know, Catholic religious art. I mean, you think about sort of medieval robes, medieval priesthood, monks, you know, I mean, and of course that's part of their symbolism as well. But the other thing that's going on here, and to me, in a sense, this is probably his most problematic body of work. But he again, is this notion of taking that which is despised, that which is base, and transforming it. And certainly that's happened here. I mean, there's probably no group more despised throughout American culture generally than the Ku Klux Klan, and yet here, you know, it's being invested with this other kind of sensibility. Now, less problematically, he simultaneously to doing this body of work, he performed the same operation on another group of people who tend to be despised or ignored in our culture, and that's the homeless. There's a series here called The Nomads, in which he took these portraits of homeless people, but taking them in such a way that actually they, you know, they're heroic. In this particular case, he was also thinking about the Edward Curtis photographs of the vanishing Indians. That was a conscious model. But I think that from our Catholic point of view, what's significant, again, is this notion of transfiguration, transformation of something from one state, this kind of low material state, to this kind of much more spiritual and divine and beautiful state. For him, this notion of beauty really has to do with this notion of the beauty as a kind of link to, or a transformation of a link to the divine realm. I think that the body of work, though, that does this for me the most purely, and that I see this sensibility of his, you know, in its kind of most pristine form, is a series of works called the Morgue series. And these are works he did in a morgue. He took photographs of bodies. These basically, they were bodies that had come into the morgue. They were unclaimed, and they all kind of died in various horrific ways. But the photographs have transformed these you know, kind of abandoned figures, these people who in life apparently nobody cared enough about to claim them in death. And he transforms them again into remarkably beautiful images, and images again which have a very conscious relationship to traditional Catholic art. And another thing that's going on here that's interesting is that there's a textual element. The titles add something. They add a dimension. The title is simply the name of how this person died. This one is called Fatal Meningitis. And yet the image doesn't convey that. The image is clearly a kind of Christ child sort of figure. I mean, it's really you know, absolutely beautiful. And it brings to mind the Catholic notion of the numinous, which is the idea that the spirit still inheres in the physical flesh, the physical body, even after that body has died. Another example, this one is called AIDS-related death. But again, you know, the crossed hands make us think of any number of paintings of you know, kind of the Virgin Mary or Christ or someone, you know, with their, particularly the Virgin Mary, I think, with their hands over her breast. I mean, it's again a very beautiful and lyrical image. Or finally this one, which is called Rat Poison Suicide. But again, I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, the way that it's lit, it's like sort of a Caravagesque kind of lighting. I mean, it's dramatic, and it's completely transformed into something else. So, as I was saying, for me, these are probably the most profoundly spiritual of the works that Serrano has done.